A new novel is giving representation to a community that is not often included in young adult fiction. Someone to Daydream About is a novel about a girl who's hired by a lead singer of a popular boy band to help his sister learn American Sign Language as her hearing begins to decline. And here to tell us more, author Sydney Langford, along with an ASL interpreter, Kat Ellis. Thank you both for being here.
Thank you for having us.
So congratulations on the new book, second novel. Tell me more about it.
Yeah, so Someone to Daydream About is a YA rom-com, like you said, that follows this deaf girl who dreams of renovating her family's deaf center and making a positive impact on her beloved community. But unfortunately, she doesn't have the resources to do that until she gets this very lucrative offer from the older brother of one of her favorite students. And he just so happens to be a world famous pop star who invites her on tour to teach her ASL as his little sister is losing her hearing.
Whoa, this sounds like a very fun book. You include the young character, like you said, that starts to lose her hearing. How important was it to include the deaf and hard of hearing community?
Very important, very, very important. I myself lost my hearing when I was about 14, and being in that age range and dealing with that marginalization, new identity, and new disability, it made me really passionate about telling diverse stories. And I'm just so excited that I'm able to do that and incorporate young deaf characters into books, because I think so often people think of the sort of stereotype of like older people being deaf, and it can affect anyone at any time. And so I really wanted to touch on that and show that deafness is a wide spectrum.
Definitely, because like you said, you lost your hearing around 14.
Right, yes.
And why do you think there should be more representation like this in the young adult novel space?
I think that there's such formative years, the teen years, things really stick with you. And again, like I said, my sort of escape from my reality after losing my hearing was books, but I didn't feel represented by the majority of the books that I was reading. And so I'm glad that things are starting to shift a little bit and we're getting more diversity out there.
Definitely, and many of the characters in this book are actually from Seattle, and you're originally from the area.
Yes.
How does being from Gig Harbor, right, impact your work as a writer?
Seattle is just such a fun city. It's alive, it's so vibrant, and we have so many amazing creatives here, and that sort of ambiance has really inspired me growing up. And also, this book has a lot of references to the Seattle music scene, because we have some iconic musicians that have come out of Seattle, like Jimi Hendrix, Macklemore, Nirvana. The list just goes on, and I really wanted to showcase my love for the city in that book.
Ooh, well, we can feel your love and passion for the city,
Yes.
which as a local myself, I enjoy. When did you know you first wanted to become a fiction writer?
So in middle school, I wrote a lot of fan fiction, and I think that's such a fun, low stakes way for people to experiment with writing, and I thought it was so fun. But it was after I lost my hearing, I was about 16, and I read a book. This is kind of an epic love story by Kaysen Callender, and it featured a deaf love interest who used ASL, and that wasn't seen as a bad thing or something that, the main character couldn't deal with or something like that. And the main character also wasn't seen as inspirational just for dating a deaf person. And that really inspired me, and I was like, okay, maybe I can tell some of my own story through fiction.
Definitely. And you're a self-proclaimed boy band expert, I understand. Much of your real world knowledge impacts. Did that come in with how you shaped this book?
Yeah, for sure. I grew up with One Direction. That was my generation's Beatles. And I still love them to this day. And I think that boy bands are so much fun, but there's also a darker side to the entertainment industry, especially when you skyrocket to fame at such a young age. And so I had a lot of fun exploring the sort of darker parts of a teenage celebrity, not just the sort of glitz and glamour.
So that's kind of where the boy band character in your book
Yes.
comes from, some of that inspo. I also understand you have a special connection to King 5. I'm intrigued. Tell me more.
Yeah, so my grandfather, John Sandifer, was a broadcast journalist at King 5, and he won an Emmy, which was so fun. And after he retired, he became an author. And so it's so special for me to be here now at the station he worked at, talking about my books now. It feels very full circle.
That's exactly what I was going to say, a full circle kind of pinch me moment.
Yes.
What do you want the takeaway when someone picks up your book to be?
I hope that it's kind of an educational experience for them, that it's fun, but they learn something from it, and that marginalized, disabled, queer readers can feel themselves represented.
Where can they get the book?
It is out now, which is so exciting. If you're in Seattle, there are signed copies at Charlie's Queer Books in Fremont, and also online retailers are a great option. You can also request from a library. That helps authors and libraries a lot.
Thank you so much, Sydney, and thank you, Kat.